scored all those goals from. He's going through a major adjustment. And I think, of course, Nyes is back on his line tonight. Robertson's up there who has potential, but he can't try to be Mitch Marner. But there's an element of Austin Matthews, which I think is just a little bit off. I wouldn't call him heartbroken, but I think it's just like, geez, he's missing a dynamic spark that he's going to have to find himself. I think there's a part of his game that he's going to have to adjust, like we've seen other superstars. I think even McKinnon went through it last year when Nate just wasn't really settled in there, and he lost Rantanen. That dynamic duo, there's a lot that goes into that from both parts of it. But when you lose it, the adjustment period, it doesn't need to be an adjustment period. It needs to be a realization that you have to change your game a little bit, not just score goals from that dead area, and also not just play defense as a defensive centerman. He's a dynamic guy that can break over the game. He's just not in that gear yet. That's what I'm seeing.
One of the bright spots early has been John Tavares and the ability still to score points, get goals. He looks like he's on his way to another solid season, whether that ends up being around his average of 80 points a year. But it's a good sign early, and a lot of Leaf fans really excited, and especially our Sammy here, that it's a fraction of the cost of the $11 million they've been paying for in the past.
You know what? It's you're lucky to have John Tavares. I mean, it's a lot to be a Toronto Maple Leaf. I've never been a Maple Leaf, but I've always been a guy that's come into this market, and you feel the pressure on these players, but you also see what comes with being a Toronto Maple Leaf. There's a lot of great that comes being a member of anyone that's been a member of this team. And I know a lot of players that have played here, and they love it. They love the way they're treated. They love the way the locker room is. They love the way it's a special and a different vibe. And I think John Tavares, being a local guy and wanting to be here and wanting to bring a Stanley Cup, I mean, his passion and the way he works at his game and the way he understands everyone's always watching him. It's one of those athletes that you see come around once in a while, and his value will be tremendous while he's here, but when he's gone, he will affect other players in a positive way, because even watching him today practice, taking face-offs, working on his stride, working on little parts of the game, getting out there early and working at it. He's a guy that wants to do right and wants these headlines and everything to be talked about in a positive way and get things turned around. And I think that's the real, I guess, the temperature teller for Craig Berube is John Tavares. He knows he doesn't have to worry about John's effort, what he's going to do in the defensive zone, how he's going to be responsible, and it's good for the young kids they have here, or some of the young kids they have here. And I think that that's an important piece here, and it's good that he's having success, because his voice it will always be loud, but it's even a little louder and even a little more impressionable when he plays that way. And we've all played with guys like that, where it's just like, you always have the guy in the locker room that you can always look at and wonder if things are going right, or how you should act, or what you're thinking of the situation. It's good to see him having that success, but I think his value is still so high with the media and with everything that goes on with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
For sure. Jody, last one for me. Just wanted to get your thoughts on playing on a team where there's internal competition. Right now, the Leafs have added Sammy Blais. Robertson wants to be in, and Michelli might come out, and McMahon might come out, Lorentz, Lawton. They have all these depth guys, and they're fighting for not that many spots. We always hear that it's a positive. Have you felt that it's something that's good for the team typically?
It's hard when you're the guy on the fourth line. They'll tell you that's just trying to stay in the lineup.
Yeah.
But it is really good. It keeps you sharp. I mean, it's something that, I played 12 years. I had to battle for every day of practice and every day in the game, and I knew there was always someone that could take that spot in my lineup. So I would leave the rink and shut it off briefly, but then, I would be in conversations or at dinners, but my engine was still turning about, okay, like you gotta be ready for whatever's to come the next day. And I always like competition within the lineup to a certain point for the top end guys on power plays and minutes. Because once the wrong guy gets put in a situation where the whole team knows he should be there, then it affects the whole team. There's a trickle-down effect with that. So I think the consistency, not to just keep those guys happy, but to let them work through some things, I think that's important for a team dynamic in those situations for sure.
One more, Jody, and we know during your telecast you won't get Chris Tanev tonight to call during the hockey game. We all saw him get carted off on a stretcher here. We know how important he is to the Toronto Maple Leafs. He'll be turning 36, I think, in a little over a month here. This is the second injury we've seen. We know he's been a battler his whole career. There's a lot of wear and tear here. How concerned should Leaf fans be about Chris Tanev moving forward here?
Well, I just think right now we're all really concerned because that was a scary hit for a guy who surprisingly made it most of the way through the season last year healthy, and that's his value. If he's out, that's a major loss. That is something that is hard to replace around the National Hockey League as well, because defensively, I mean, we show some packages of him blocking shots and playing through pain, and he always seems like he's got something going on, but he's just one of those guys that the opposition knows is hard to play against and makes your night miserable because he has a certain level of frustration he can bring. So if he's out, that's something that, I think that is a major hole for this team, especially looking at their defense. He's the one to me that brings an element of kind of intellectual jam, if you will, where it's always just positional and brings guys into the fight. And there's no dodging, blocking a shot, or putting yourself in a situation where it's team first when you see a guy like that doing it. So that's something that's extremely valuable here.
Jody, great stuff, man. Have a great call tonight,
guys.
Okay?
Thanks for having me on, guys.
Thanks for your time,
it.
man. Appreciate it.
Former National Hockey Leaguer, now analyst on Amazon, Jody Shelley.
He talked about fighting for his ice time in 3 straight seasons for the Columbus Blue Jackets. 206 PIMs in 52 games, 249 in 68, and 228 in 76 games in 3 straight seasons.
Tough.
Yeah, that's doing it.
Just really genuinely tough.
Yes.
You know, guys who are like bluffers or they do it because they have to. That was never him, boy.
And in 96, 97 with the Halifax Mooseheads, in 59 games, 25 goals, 19 assists, 420 PIMs. How is there enough ice time?
Just fighting a guy with one hand while you're scoring with the other.
420 is crazy.
So the Toronto Maple Leafs right back at it tonight. If I'm not mistaken, this is a 4-game homestand.
For the Leafs?
Yeah, all they do is play it. They never.
Yeah, it's really weird.
It is.
It is really weird.
Not going to help them later in the year, but
That flip side's going to hit.
So tell me what they need to go to, what record they need when this homestand is over.
it's a curious schedule.
It's Pittsburgh, Mammoth, Boston, who?
Hurricanes.
2-2.
That one feels like an L.
2-2 for me.
It's not going to cut it, though.
No.
I
I think 3 out of 4, or else people are going to start.
Well, you're asking me what I think they're going to do, or what I want.
What
them
they
to do?
yeah, well, what they need.
3-1. They
to
need 3-1.
prove that this thing's going to move forward, and then we are in November, by the way.
I think
The hot month?
Yeah, the hot month has to start on this homestand.
the weather outside today, boy, you could have fooled me.
Yeah.
That's the nice thing about the Jays losing. At least the weather's uplifting. It only gets dark at 4:30 p.m. I think.
We needed that hour that night, though.
Yeah,
Our house, anyway.
I think you would hope that they win the first